Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. On this episode, we're going to talk about the 4 types of entrepreneur spouses. Whew. Here's some fodder for the Thanksgiving table, folks. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. It is great to be back, and I'm not solo. I'm not solo this week. There's much rejoicing amongst the Print on Demand cast multiverse. I know. It's okay. But Travis is here. He is back with me this week. There he is, the co-captain of this show and every show into perpetuity until death do us part. Is that what we signed? We didn't sign anything. What am I talking about?
Or until one of us goes solo again. One of the two.
Yeah, exactly. Until schedules do us part or something. I don't know what that works, but welcome back, man. I hope everything went well last week. I know you had prior engagements, but here we are back recording the show. And how's your week going? It's, as people listen to this, it is the day before T-Day. How are things?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, they might be listening to this on T-Day or after T-Day, but
it's true.
You did a great job last week talking about thankfulness, and that probably would have been this week's topic, but it's kind of like a softball, to talk to a couple of guys who go to church or Christians, and like, thankfulness is pretty damn important,
Exactly. We'll just write a little sermonette, I guess.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun. It was free form, didn't have any notes, just went with it and talked into a microphone. So it's nice to have you back. We'll just say that. So we're going to get into, obviously, as we said, it's close to Turkey Day, or you're listening to this on Turkey Day. Maybe you're, just getting your second helping of mashed potatoes and your headphones ring because you don't want to listen to the table conversation that's happening at your Thanksgiving dinner, to which we say, we can't blame you. And we will gladly be your escape from all of the potential ridiculousness of Thanksgiving. So, let's get right into it, man. We've got a lot to get to for this week. And so a really particularly timely point of interest coming up here because Cyber Monday, Black Friday is coming up, but I don't want to say too much quite yet. And it wouldn't be a show without this moving, emotional point of interest bumper.
Point of interest.
And now if you're crying at the Thanksgiving table, you can tell people that it was our fault. And you've been moved to tears. So here we are. All right. So Black Friday is getting close. And so, Travis, what do we have going on for this week's point of interest that pertains to Black Friday?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of sales going on, and we kind of are trying to, put it all together for you guys so you have kind of an idea of what sales are going on in the print-on-demand tool universe, if you will. There's so many different things, so many different tools, software tools in particular, that they almost always go on sale at this time of year. And usually it's pretty much the best deal you can get. And so we wanted to kind of put a list of what we know to be on sale. There may be other sales that we aren't aware of. And I'm sure there are many other products that, we don't necessarily use or know about in the print on demand space, but we do have a resources page. You can go to printondemandcast.com/resources, and you can see like a whole list of tools that we either currently use or have used. And on that page, there's several of those companies that are doing Black Friday sales that we're aware of. So we brought it all together for you. So we're just going to put all of this out there for you guys. We're going to kind of talk about it. And then all these links will be in the show notes for you. And, total transparency, they are affiliate links. It's an easy way for you to give back to the show. And to go through our affiliate links, we do get a small kickback on those. I mean, it's, enough to, I don't know, maybe get a coffee. We'll see. It depends on what you buy, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, the price of listen, I went to Starbucks the other day and I was shocked. I'll just say that. So
Fair enough.
yeah, so the first one that we have is Creative Fabrica. And you talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago on the Point of Interest.
Yeah.
I have a video
Yeah.
on our YouTube channel, printondemancast.com/YouTube. You can kind of see all there is to know about Creative Fabrica, and it might just convince you to go ahead and take advantage of the deal, which is getting yearly access. It's now just $4.99 a month. Now, this is the same stuff that they do sporadically through the year, but if you want to take advantage of it immediately and get in there and see what you can do, then $4.99 a month for an entire year, that's not bad. It's not bad at all.
It's actually amazing considering
It's
there
like
are
$60
millions
for the year.
Yeah. And there are millions of assets on this website, from fonts to templates to, you can find that perfect Bella Canvas 3001 size chart that you're going to use on Etsy or whatever. I mean, they have hundreds of them. I'm not even kidding. There's just so much value from Creative Fabrica. And for $60 a month, it's so nice to have that in your back pocket. And yeah, I just recently did a video on vectorizing. I had a client that needed something vectorized, and Creative Fabrica has a new tool. They have a new kind of studio out there, but one of their tools is a vectorizer tool. And I compared it with the Kittle tool, vectorizer tool, in a video. I guess we'll also link to that in the show notes. It'll also be in our newsletter this week. So go to printondemandcast.com and sign up for the newsletter. You'll be able to download our annual, what is it called? An annual design calendar.
That's right.
Yeah. And that basically just helps you kind of stay on track for different holidays and different events throughout the year. And like, when do you need to research it? When do you need to have it done? When do you need to have that design posted on products online? And that's free at printondemandcast.com. We just ask for your email, and then we send you an email every single week with an extra dad joke and then other cool things that are happening in the print on demand industry, or videos that I've created or whatever. So, wow, we took quite a turn there. But that's Creative Fabrica. $4.99 a month is a ridiculous price for how much stuff is on there. I literally use it every week. I was using it today earlier. So, so the next one we got on the list is placeit.net, and placeit.net is an incredible tool if you are building your mock-ups individually. And a lot of people are, when you're creating listings, especially when you're kind of a one-man show or one-woman show, you're doing one listing at a time. And so placeit.net has a couple of things. If you're already an active annual subscriber, apparently there's some way to get 50% off. So we're told to get 50% off your active annual subscription. And that is going from yesterday through the 27th. So, but I couldn't find it. Like, I'm actually a subscriber and I couldn't figure out how to do it. If you're not a subscriber and you want to be, they are doing a 25% off to new users starting on November 24th through the 27th. So either one, you may have to like text somebody or chat with somebody on the placeit.net website to get that 50% off. I don't know how to do it. I'm probably going to mess with that tomorrow, because tomorrow's Wednesday and it's not Turkey Day yet. I have some time, but placeit.net is a great tool. Again, another tool I probably use, maybe not as much as Creative Fabrica, but I used it multiple times last week to mock up some things for a local client that is buying some hoodies from me. So you just never know when you're going to need it. And it's a relatively inexpensive tool, and they have thousands, if not tens of thousands of mock-ups for all kinds of print on demand goods. So check it out, placeit.net.
They're fantastic. And you've heard us talk about them too occasionally.
Right.
I used to use Placeit all the time. It's great stuff. So the next one we've got is Sales Samurai. For
Hmm.
6 months, only $49.99 plus 20% off. If you, yeah, it feels very infomercial there for just a second. I had to stop myself. So Sales Samurai for 6 months at only $49.99 plus 20% off if you use the code Print on Demand Cast, making it $39.99 a month.
Ooh, math.
Yeah, math. Yeah, that's not my strong suit, but we will have that link obviously in the show notes as well, so you can take advantage of that. And it's the
Yep.
same deal for Merch Informer. They happen to be under the same umbrella. So we've
Right.
had Neil on the show before. We should probably have him
Hmm.
back, catch
We
up with
need
him.
that back.
So he's a great guy. So he's in Colorado. We could do like an in person. It would be a lot
Yeah,
of
it'd
fun.
be
So
fun.
Merch Informer as well. 6 months, same deal. $49.99, 20% off if you use Print on
Yep.
Demand Cast, making it $39.99. And we'll have both of those links for you. So, but Travis, tell
Yeah.
them, like, for those listening, like, what is Sales Samurai? What is Merch Informer?
Sure.
It's the same deal, different software. What's the difference?
Yeah, so Sales Samurai is going to be more focused on Etsy, and it's kind of their research tool that they put together for Etsy. So if you're primarily focused on Etsy, it's probably going to be in the same vein as like an E-Rank or a Everbee, but it's going to help you succeed. Basically on Etsy. So Sales Samurai, that link or that deal, I guess they're doing, is for
Yeah.
their pro version. It's the same with Merch Informer. Merch Informer is going to be, I'm sorry, excuse me. Merch Informer is going to be for your Merch by Amazon account or your Amazon Merch on Demand. I guess they've changed their name. It helps with that. It's almost OG for Merch on Demand. Like that was their first software that Neil
Yeah.
and his team put out, and and it's been around for years and years and years. And they continue to add to it. In fact, I saw something, they just added a new feature. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have closed that, but let me see if I can find this real quick. I'll tell you,
Okay.
they just did a new thing. Yep, I've got it right here. It's called dun 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 the new Merch Informer Studio. I don't know
Nice.
what it is.
That
I
sounds
I have no
fancy.
idea, but that
That,
sounds really cool.
that sounds really
And
nice. I'll take one.
but
I
yeah,
don't know what that is, but
yeah, but check it out. Both of those deals they already started. They started Monday the 20th, and they're going to go through next Wednesday the 29th. So yeah, you can use the link that we have, but then to get an extra 20% off your subscription or whatever you buy, you
yeah.
don't even have to get the pro level. You just use that code Print on Demand Cast and no spaces, and you should be good to go.
Yeah, fantastic. And then the last one is Vexels. All annual and lifetime plans are 55% off. And
Boom.
get to spin the wheel for prizes. I wish I would have had that thing from The Office, but that's what it is.
That would have been good.
Is spinning the wheel. One day we will, with foresight, I'll plan all of these bumpers and ideas and just cut them into the show, and we'll never know what's happening. It's all for the viewing audience. So yeah, but all the links are going to be in the show notes. So be sure to avail yourself of that when you're not driving, and take advantage of these awesome deals that they have for you. And again, there are affiliate links, and so you can support us by equipping yourself with some awesome tools. And then
Yep.
we will Instagram post when we have that beer or coffee that particular kickback paid for. So we'll figure it out, and it's just a thing. It's content. So
Is there such a thing as being too transparent? I don't know. That's,
listen, we've been pretty transparent up to this point, but this is just a passion project. So, I love a good beer. We both do. We both. So you're having one
cheers.
right now? Yes. Time. What is it? Time.
This is a
Time
time
traveler.
traveler. Yeah,
Nice.
it's a dry hopped Belgian style ale,
Ooh, that sounds dry and hoppy.
and it's
And
delicious.
Belgian. So, but yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll get right into the next portion of the show, which everyone, of course, knows is the main event.
Main event, who's calling?
All right. So we alluded to this in the opening of the show, but
Mhm.
4 types of entrepreneur spouses. Now,
Why
Travis,
would we do this? Why would we do an episode on our target audience's significant others?
you
Like,
know, I don't know. I don't know. In the sake of transparency, I mean, you're going to be around families. Maybe this is the time you're like, hey, wife, hey, husband. Travis and Josiah said that you need to be more of a type 1 than a type 3. Like, I don't know. Um, and then
don't
and
do
then
that.
and then send your hate tweets to at Print on Demand Cast because it doesn't exist. So we will never see, we will never see it. Um, anyway, I digress. So, we know something about entrepreneur spouses because we are married to entrepreneur spouses. And it's good to kind of evaluate, because this idea of starting a business, a side hustle, it doesn't just affect you, it's going to change dynamics for the family, for
Yeah.
your availability, for what you have bandwidth for outside of this thing that you're trying to build. So we just kind of want to go through the different types, some pros and cons. There's, like I said, 4 different types, and then we'll maybe expand on a couple, and then
Yeah.
call it a show. So
I mean,
let's
there's let's
go
just
ahead.
be honest. There's probably way more than 4 types. We're just going to identify 4 types.
Yeah,
And we are doing gross generalizations. So, and
horrific.
we are being,
And
yes,
yeah,
this is so stereotypical,
this
so
isn't the
just
Enneagram. We're
forgive
not
us.
going deep.
Okay.
Okay, you can't really align the stars by what we're saying. It's generalizations. Um, you could probably find an Enneagram in there somewhere, because that's what Enneagram people do. Anyway,
Mhm.
we don't have letters or numbers assigned to anything. It's just a type. So let's actually start with the last on the list and work to the first
Oh,
on the
okay.
list, right?
Ooh.
So the first type that there is the one that you hope you don't have to deal with, and that's the oh hell no. The oh hell no wife.
Or
Because
husband, or husband.
or
Let's,
husband, yes.
come
Yeah.
on, man.
Yeah, you're it's true. Um, I mean, you'll be likely risking the least amount of
Yeah,
money.
it's good if you're a cheap bastard.
And I'm sorry, I just look for any excuse to play that soundbite because I love it so much. But the pro is that you probably will be risking the least amount of money, but the con
Right.
is you're on the journey alone. And if you make any mistakes, which you will in the course of building a business, there's extra pressure there, because your spouse, he or she said, I told you not to do this.
Mhm. And this is, like you said, this is the one that nobody wants to, deal with. And it's also, I think, the one that everybody fears they have before they actually, like, come out and say, "Hey, I wanna do this thing."
Yeah.
They're like, "What if
Everyone
they say,
assumes
oh hell
everyone
no?'"
assumes they have the oh hell no until they talk about it.
Right.
You're like, my God, you're one of the other three.
Yeah. And, I mean, and to be fair, it's probably, I don't wanna presume to know where people are at, but I think it's probably fairly rare that they're, like, so adamant against you
Yeah.
jumping into this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that they would be a little bit further down towards the other
Yeah.
side of the
And
spectrum, you
yeah,
know?
and you would think, I mean, again, there's lots of assumptions in these scenarios, but if there
Mhm.
if there was a desire to start a side hustle, there would have to have been something to kind of precipitate or be the seed
Yeah.
for that idea that she probably is well aware of.
Mhm.
You're unhappy at your job. You're not passionate about what you're doing. You want to do something you're passionate about. Typically, you will have probably voiced those things at some point, even just
Yeah.
out of frustration. So it's not like she'd be completely caught off guard, but it's the action step of, okay, I'm doing this on the
Mhm.
side,
Yeah.
to build it, that could kind of facilitate that negative reaction.
And I also think a lot of times, I think in this situation, if this is your spouse's reaction, there's probably a reason for that, and I don't wanna get into,
Yeah.
like, marriage counselor, relationship counseling, but, maybe this isn't your first, entrepreneurial venture, and the
Yeah.
first 1 or 2 or 7 didn't go so well,
Yeah.
and it's a reaction that's actually could potentially be very legitimate. And, you
Yeah.
know, um, and so what this does though, it does provide an opportunity, if you want to look at it, you know, with last week's lens of thankfulness,
Yeah.
of the opportunity to like really get into the why is this such a oh hell no moment for you,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and if you can get past that, you might be able to get a little more, you know, a little less resistance,
Yeah.
um, you know, from your spouse or your significant other. So that is definitely possible. You can this, you know, none of all obviously none of this is it's all fluid. You know, it's
Yeah.
not you're this person and this is who you are forever. Um, you know, just it's just not. So
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think the lesson, if this is your experience, is like to like turn the searchlight in and go, well, what precipitated this reaction? You know, what
Right.
did I do to participate in this? And then coming from that place and saying, hey, I see that I did this in the past or whatever, and I'm wondering if this is contributing to your reaction to me wanting to do this print on demand thing.
Yeah.
And it could, you know, it could facilitate a really great conversation that could be really healing for you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you're welcome for that relationship advice. And I'll also include a PayPal link in the show notes.
Yeah. I mean, we can only give so much for free, you know. So there you go. The number 3 type of entrepreneurial spouse is the I don't care, just make us some money. That's that one. Sometimes my wife falls into that. Like, I don't care what you do. We just need money. Uh
Mm.
she definitely can she's like, I don't know, I don't care what it is. To an extent. I selling feet pictures online, probably not. But other than that, but yeah, listen, the pros of this one, you know, you have the freedom to do what you think is best for
The
for
feet
your
on demand cast. I'm sorry.
the fodcast,
Fod feet on demand.
providing fodder for those with a fetish for feet. Oh, it's a lot of
I'm
S's.
sorry. I'm
The
sorry.
alliteration
I
is
totally
incredible.
derailed. I derailed the crap out of that.
Yeah,
Okay, so the
yeah,
first
it's okay.
pro
Yeah.
is
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
So the first pro is freedom to do what you think is best in your business. I mean, you kind of have free reign. Whatever is going to make you money. If that's the only wish of the spouse is just make us money. You have that ability to make those choices, and therefore you can take more chances in
Mhm,
what you're doing to make the money. The
right.
con is they might not be a sounding board for you to have ideas. You're going to have to probably find that elsewhere, because if they're disinterested, if their only interest is just make money, they're probably disinterested in how you do it. They
Mm,
just want to see you make money. And
right.
so you probably have to go elsewhere to bounce ideas off of people like printonamancast.com/Facebook, just as an idea of places you can go to just really, you know, have a sounding board for some ideas that you have for the business.
Right. I think this is also, again, it's kind of there's a gamut of people, you know, it's when you hear I don't care, just make us some money, that can sound cold. And I think perhaps in some cases it might be. It might
Yeah.
be I just moved past, oh hell no.
Yeah, this is
and
the
and I've
progression.
yeah, and I've come to I don't care, just make us
Yeah.
some money, you know.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, I think like I would say that my wife is kind of in this category, not from like a I don't care, just make
Like a
us some money. She's
disinterested, yeah, detached.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not that she's detached. It's more that she's like, you can do whatever you want. I just, you know, I just hoping that you're making us. It's more of a like, I don't want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just want to
exactly.
make sure that you're making us some money, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, you know, with my wife, I am able to bounce ideas off of her, which is kind of cool. Even though she doesn't care, she does care about what I care about. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, this is interesting to you. I'm not going to dig in and like understand how to sublimate a coffee mug, but I'll
Sure.
listen to you talk about it,
Yeah.
you know, because I care about you and you care about this thing. And so there's kind of a gamut there, and you may find yourself on, you know, somewhere on that line.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I mean, you just they really at that point, there's nothing, there's not might not be anything you can do to kind of get them like excited like you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to just kind of make your peace with that and be okay with that. I've had to do that with my wife because I would
Sure.
love for her to be super excited about it, like I am, but she's just not. And so,
Yeah.
okay, well,
Yeah.
that's where we're
That's
at.
yeah, that's why we're friends. Because we share passion about similar things that our wives are like, "That's I don't know why you told me anything about that
Right.
because like, that's great, but it's moved me nil. Like, I got nothing out of that." So, type number 2 is, and flipping their order, I do realize we are doing kind of a progression, like, timeline of, like, potential one
Ooh.
spectrum to the other. So didn't even mean to do that, but
Mm. You
it's
don't want to go
working.
the other way.
No, no, we're winning at this. It's good.
I want to win.
So number 2 is the on the fence spouse.
Mm.
So the good thing is that they're still supportive. They might even be more interested than the I don't care, make some
Mhm.
money spouse. They're easier to win over with slow growth and success, where the hell no is like, what are you doing? It's taking too long. It's been a year. We've made no money. You're wasting your time.
Mhm.
Or the I don't care is you've not made enough money in a year. If they're on the fence, they're probably more inclined to see the growth pattern and kind of be able to forecast and realize that this is working. It's just going to take time. Um,
Mhm.
they can be the devil's advocate, which
Yeah.
this is super important. This being this person in in any dynamic, whether it's ministry, business, relationships, to be the devil's advocate, doesn't really necessarily have the negative connotation that the name would probably assign to it, but it's just looking at things from the other end of the other side of the coin.
Mhm.
Because as entrepreneurs, we can really put the cart in front of the horse and get
Shiny
upset.
object syndrome.
Exactly. Yep. We have the
Mhm.
squirrel thing where you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's good to have somebody. I was this for my father-in-law a lot of the times. He was this for me.
Mhm.
My wife is this for me still, of like, yeah, that's great. But like think about all the time it would take. Think about what you're doing. Like that's really needed. And it's really good to have. And just you have to be in a position to receive it and not feel attacked by it. Cause really it's just it's a product of them trying to look out for you and see what's best for you in
Mhm.
that moment.
Yeah.
The
And then
con Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as far as the cons go, when you have someone that's on the fence and they're kind of like, I'm not sure, but I'll support you because I love you or whatever. There can be a pressure to prove yourself, in this new venture or whatever it
Yeah.
is. And that
Yeah.
that can be dangerous because it can lead to like a get rich quick mentality where you're just
Yep.
looking for a trick or something that's gonna move the needle really fast because you wanna
Yeah.
prove yourself, but it's not the best investment. It's not the best
Right.
investment of money, it's not the best investment of your time, your resources, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so, without that, you really do need to, if you have this type of, significant other, spouse, whatever, um, you really need to lean into that whole devil's advocate thing so you don't lean
Yeah.
into the get rich quick thing. Those are
Right.
kind of two sides of the coin right there, and so
Right.
having that person to like say, "Hey, what do you think about this?"
Yeah.
And then you never know what they're going to say. Maybe they're going to give you something that you hadn't considered, which is what you're hoping for,
Yeah.
because that's what like when you have that type of data, you can make the best decision. And so having that person that you can bounce ideas off of is so valuable. Even if they're not as super excited about it, I would still take advantage of that particular relationship to get that kind of balanced perspective.
Yeah.
You don't go the other way because I mean, shoot, man, left to my own devices, dude, I mean, I'm gonna buy that swampland in Florida, because I'm gonna flip it like that because the guy said on the internet and he was standing by a Lamborghini.
Nice. That's hilarious. Yeah, he obviously knew. He's
He
done
did.
this 1,000 times. Yeah. So that's number 2. And then finally, the other end of the spectrum from the oh hell no would be the all in.
Woohoo.
Which is it's definitely what you want when everyone, the studio audience is out of control. So the that's the answer you want, right?
Mm,
Um, so the pros, being on the same page obviously is massive
mhm,
as your significant other. getting to work together to build something together is really fun.
Yeah.
And you bond a lot over that, and that's in any aspect, right? Like my Madeline and I, we just recently are stepped into doing some like leading a young adults life group and kind of taking that on together and stepping into that. So that's really fun because we're both doing it at the same time and get to kind of
Mhm.
grow. So that's great. You enjoy successes, you learn from mistakes together. It's not you learning from mistake and your spouse being like, why are you doing this? So, but there are some cons, and I know
And you would
because
know.
I would know. And this isn't necessarily pertaining to my spouse. It's just working with family in general, right?
Mm.
Working with family can be challenging. For those of you that are new to the show that might not know, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law were my in-laws, my landlords, and my bosses, all at the same time, which can be very challenging. Obviously, communication is challenging, and just outside of business, communication is tough. Um,
Oh
it's
my
really
gosh.
hard.
I just feel like we just need to take a moment to let our audience like go, "Holy crap," and just, to
Yeah,
digest that what you just said.
yeah, yeah. All at the same time. It was a good season, but also there were some really challenging times.
Emotional damage.
It was
So,
the best of times, it was the worst of times.
yes,
It was
yes,
all of the
it
times.
was all the times. So communication is hard in every facet of relationship, even
Sure.
outside of throwing a business dynamic into it, which is crazy when you compound those things. It muddies relationship dynamics. I know you talked to Madeline's sister, and
Yep.
she wasn't in the business or working, but dinner was business talk. That's all it
Right.
was. And there were times when I would have a conversation with my father-in-law, and you don't know, am I talking to you as your daughter's husband? Am I talking to you as your employee? Is this a
Mhm.
friend conversation? Because my father-in-law and I are 10 years apart in age. So it's never been a father-son vibe for us ever. It's
Yep.
been like bros. So like, how do you really approach this? And like, if you're doing this with your wife, is there room to be husband and wife? Is there room to date? Is there room to go out and not talk about work? Is there room to
Mm.
be able to compartmentalize to the point where it's like, we don't talk about the business. We're just going to have a relationship, because pretty soon your relationship can get tied into the business, and the success of the business or the failure of the business can then directly affect your relationship because you haven't actually taken the time to be intentional about separating those two things from one another. So it's
Mm.
super, super challenging to do. And that, of course, it can take an all in and turn it into an oh hell no very, very quickly. Um, because if you make an investment, you or your spouse makes the decision to go ahead and do an investment and it doesn't work, someone's left holding the bag.
Mm.
And if you haven't really been intentional about delineating those dynamics, you will have issues in your marriage that really stem from, hey, that investment on that account, or those t-shirts didn't sell, or whatever, can really
Mhm.
start to play a role in your interpersonal relationship.
Yeah.
So, as much as an all-in is great, it almost takes more relational, interpersonal work to sustain the success of that dynamic. Then
Mhm.
it's harder to do that, I think, than it is to win your wife maybe over from any of the other 3, or your husband over from any of the other 3. Um,
Mm.
because if you're both deeply invested in what you're doing, you've got to protect your personal relationship and figure out a way to delineate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have some of this, but it's kind of from the other side because my son was my production manager for years. And but I do remember many, many times it was like he'd come over for dinner, or whatever, and we would just talk shop, and everybody else we'd either talk shop or we talk about the Chiefs, one of the two. But it was the same type of thing, we just sit there and talk about the latest order and, "Hey, do you remember if they got that art to us or not? Or did you talk to such and such?" I mean, just all of those things. And so it does mess with your family dynamics. And there were also several times that I had to have him come in and say, hey, I'm taking my dad hat off and I'm
Yeah.
putting on my boss hat right now. And I had
Yeah.
to be direct like that. And hey, listen, you can't do this, or you need to do this, or I need you to pick up the slack here. And okay, now I'm going to put my dad hat on,
Yeah.
and hey, man, I love you,
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
just weird, so you really have to, it's a challenge. It can be a challenge. And if you're intentional, I think you can navigate it. And I mean, there's plenty of examples of families who have done very well in
Yeah.
business together.
Yeah.
But it's not without, a lot of challenges. And then
Yep.
finally, I mean, depending on if it's just you and your spouse, or your significant other, and it's like, obviously you guys are equal. Well,
Right.
who makes the final decision?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you need to have that discussion.
Yeah.
That's really important, or because that can derail, this whole all in, all the way back down to, oh, hell no, really, really
Yeah,
fast. So,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
It's precarious at times if you're not being proactive
Mhm.
in what you're doing there. Because I mean, you don't want to go like, you know, like in the hole. You don't want to like bet the farm like
Sure.
Zach always says, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, making you proud grandpa and then, you lose your car in a poker game, which is a real story about Zach's grandfather. So um what a thing. Um, so yeah, be sure to oh, and then the other thing, like, you just gotta make sure that things aren't getting out of line. If you have kids, you gotta make sure things are in order
Mm.
for your kids, and you have to make sure that supplies are there and food is there. You can't just like neglect everything because then it gets tricky. Like the other day, Madeline and I have been really busy.
Mhm.
It feels like ever since we moved here, there hasn't been like it's just been running and gunning, which has been fine. It's
Wow.
sustainable, but it's just like we've got a lot of stuff that we have going on with family or with church or just like
Mhm.
work or whatever. So, I was using the restroom. Don't want to get too graphic, but we ran out of toilet paper, basically, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Ran
wow.
out of toilet paper and didn't have any other options. She was asleep. It was like one of those, like, 6 in the morning. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. What do I do? So I actually started using old newspapers. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you, the times are rough. And that's this week's dad joke of the week. You thought we'd forget it? We never do. So everyone just relax because we are always going to come through with a dad joke and an extra one if you sign up for the newsletter at printondemancast.com. Get your annual design calendar as well. So you get practical tools and then jokes that you can use on all your friends, and we'll let you take credit for it this one time. So enjoy that. Travis, anything else on this before we wrap things up?
No, I'm just so glad that you were able to weave that in so
Yeah.
eloquently and with, I mean, I don't think anybody saw it coming.
No, and to be fair, I really oversold like the schedule dynamic. I was just really trying to
You
make the
sure
point.
did.
So it's not that crazy. I just needed to set up the joke
Mhm.
specifically for that. So anyway, here is the deal.
Attention hotline fans.
If you want to get a hold of Travis and I, talk to us again, printondemancast.com/Facebook is where you can do that to ask questions, not just of us, but of the group. So please do that. Please do that. I told myself I wasn't going to have a Biden moment, and then I did.
True international effort to pressure.
So don't just ask questions of us. You can ask them of the whole group and answer the questions when you join the group, and we'll let you in because otherwise I can't make any guarantees. printondemancast.com/Instagram is where you can go to find additional content of the show, and YouTube. printondemancast.com/YouTube is where you can find video versions. Or if you listen to this on Spotify, we're on video, just like the Joe Rogan podcast, which is probably the only degree of separation that we have from his show. The only thing in common is we both have video on Spotify. So suck it, Joe Rogan. You're not so special after all. If you would like to also buy a t-shirt and support the show and perhaps pay for my protection if Joe Rogan ever hears what I said, because he's a monster of a human who can kill me. printondemancast.com/shop is where you can go to get t-shirts. I think we talked about adding a Be a Duck t-shirt. I think that would be really funny because we were talking about that 2 weeks ago, letting things just kind of roll off. So be a duck, folks, and just be resilient. Is basically
Especially you, Joe Rogan. Be a duck.
Yeah, Joe Rogan in your duck self. And then again, last time, printondemancast.com is where you can go to sign up for the weekly newsletter. If you don't do any of those things, if you don't like social media or the internet or whatever, we don't really have a snail mail option. But if you at least email, you can email us info@printondemancast.com. We would love to chat with you there as well. If you have a suggestion, if you have a topic you'd like for us to cover, let us know, and we would be happy to chat with you. And lastly, wherever you're listening to this, do us a favor and rate and review and subscribe and share one of those, if not all of those actions. We'll be great. We're super grateful. We're trying to beat the algorithm and just make sure that this information is out to those who really need to see it and hear it and would benefit from it. And if you know of someone, direct them to the show. If you have someone that's wanting to make the jump but doesn't know how their wife is going to react or their husband's going to react, maybe in the midst of all of this, we give them some actual useful insight on how to navigate relational dynamics when you're launching a business. So, okay, I think that's everything, Travis. One last time to you, if you have anything left.
I don't think so. I think I'm just going to go hang out with my family. My mom just got in.
Yeah, your mom's in town.
Yeah, they're upstairs.
Nice.
I can hear them like the pots and the pans and all that stuff, and they're making some dinner. I'm getting hungry. It's getting later. You got to go to the airport. We got so many things.
Got to go to the airport. Got to go to In-N-Out. It's all going to be a thing. It's going to be a good time. There's 3 minutes from my house now, so it's literally right there. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, if you want to come hang out and walk to In-N-Out, I told myself I'd only walk there. It's never happened, but it's like probably a 5-minute, 10-minute walk. But anyway, all that to say, yeah, we're going to get things wrapped up. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving. We are so thankful for you guys.
Totally.
And your loyalty to the show and sticking with us all of this time and subscribing and coming back and joining the group and being interactive. We are so thankful for you guys. This show would literally be nothing without you. So for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.